Time for our discussion segment where we'll be talking about Armed Forces Remembrance Day and would look at different issues that are surrounding it and the life of veterans in Nigeria. If you were being on the show earlier through the report and the packages segments where we had stories from widows of veterans who had lost their lives at the war front, and their tales, the gory tales they had to tell on how hardship has told a lot on them. And we also had the story of a veteran who was living his best civilian life since he left and had things to be thankful for. Two sides of the coin, stories of sadness and stories of pride and jubilation on the other end. But we all know one thing all common we know is that more needs to be done to better the lives of people who have served the nation in such ways. Now, Armed Forces Remembrance Day just goes beyond parades and wreaths and poppies. It honors the sacrifices of heroes who fought for our freedom and our sovereignty. And behind every fallen hero is a family left to face the hardship and a story left to be told, often struggling with financial burdens, interrupted education, and loss of a breadwinner. Government support exists, but it's not enough. Private organizations and individuals must step up through empowerment programs, scholarships, and job opportunities for these families. True remembrance requires action, not just ceremonies. And in light of that and actions that are being taken or that are available that are not yet to public light, or actions that should be taken, we are joined by the Deputy Veteran Commander Awwal Abdullahhi-Aliyu, spokesperson, Ministry of Defense Ministerial Standing Committee on Military Veterans Welfare. He's going to be joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. So just to move straight into our conversation, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you, sir, on the show this morning. Well, to move straight into our conversation, Armed Forces Remembrance Day is annually observed on January 15th every year, and it's used to recognize the invaluable service by veterans in Nigeria that have served Nigeria. But the question I have to you, sir, this morning is, do you think that the Armed Forces Remembrance Day and what is done at this point in time is enough?
Not even close to enough. Like you rightly put, it's usually a race lane.
Well, this is in line with what we're talking about on the show, where we spoke about the network in Nigeria, and our network providers need to do a lot more. But I believe we have our guests back with us. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly well. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can. Kindly go ahead with your thoughts.
All right. I said what it is nothing. It is not even close to what we are expecting. Like very well, naturally, what usually happens is on the 15th of January every year, the President and Commander-in-Chief, the Vice President, Ministers, Service Chiefs, members of the diplomatic corps, some selected widows, and then the veterans will be there to do parade, to lay the wreath, and then naturally there's even no speeches. It's just laying the wreath, and then everybody disperses, and that's the end of it till next year when another January 15 again, the same procedure will be repeated. That is not what is expected of the government. There are other welfare packages, there are other challenges that veterans and widows are facing that the government needed to seriously look into. Fair enough. We have a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu who I would commend in all sincerity of purpose for the fact that he was able to, map up our welfare packages. And then I can guarantee you, on the 7th of January, we were paid the outstanding balance of 50%. We were earlier paid the 50% out of the 100% on the 5th of December 2024. But then that was done only when we had to picket the Ministry of Defense gate and block and refuse to allow anybody to go in. That was when we were paid 50% of our outstanding entitlement. And then we had meeting with the Minister of Finance, who promised that the outstanding balance would be paid on or before the 25th of December 2024. That was not done until January 7th, when we had to picket, the gate again of the Minister of Finance. And then that was when the remaining 50% was paid on that very day. You see, now do we really need to do this before our entitlement will get to us? The answer is no. Ordinarily, as senior citizens of this country, as members who have dedicated our lives, our youthful life, even our old age, we dedicated this to the service of this great nation, protect the lives and property of Nigerians against any aggression, whether internal or external. You remember, there's Boko Haram, there's insurgency, there was civil war, there were other international engagements within Africa and outside Africa that Nigerian soldiers were involved. And also, even when the American soldiers are part of an operation, you will see that Nigerian soldiers will always come out either the best or second to the best. So we are known with our resilience, we are known with our doggedness, we are known with our combatancy, we are known with respect for constituted authority, we are known for our discipline. Okay. But yet, we don't get what is our entitlement until we come out on the street and protest.
All right,
that is on the part of even.
Can you hear me? Can you throw more light? You've mentioned a couple, that the president has done and how the back and forth with the, the outstanding that were being paid. But can you provide an overview of current programs, and policies that the ministry has implemented to support veterans' welfare in Nigeria?
Well, the reality is that the Minister of Defense, under the leadership of the two ministers, Minister Badaru Abubakar and then Dr. Bello Machawale, I think they're trying their best in terms of policies and programs that are supposed to be in the favor of veterans. But those are only programs, but the financial capacity and capability lies in the Ministry of Finance. So even if the ministers, the Ministry of Defense, and of course Defense Headquarters, where you have the Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Gwabe Musa, wish to do whatever it is for the veterans, it is not possible because they do not have the financial capacity, the budgets, the financial wherewithal. It lies in the Ministry of Finance. They can have a program that they may wish to implement, but once there's no cash backing, that is a very big challenge. And that has always been the language that we have been facing with, or we've been faced with. Whenever our entitlement is there, we needed it paid, the next word you hear is there's no cash backing. Once we start hearing no cash backing, we know that there's an issue. We have to come out and protest. I will give you, and I just cited an example now.
Yes, you did.
With the 28%, 32,000 flat rate, the new minimum wage, other allowances that were accumulated that were entitled to, that were supposed to be given. The Ministry of Defense, we wrote to the ministry. We had several meetings with the ministers, the main minister, the Minister of State. They were very willing. They put up phone calls in our presence, trying to reach out to those that are supposed to effect the payment and things like that. And then we know the conversation, what transpired during the conversation. So you see, it is not really the fault of the ministry, so to say, when it comes to welfare packages. There might be policies and programs that the ministry might be willing and ready to implement those policies and programs, but you cannot do all these things when there is no cash. And the cash is not lying down in the ministry, it's usually in the Ministry of Finance. So even if they want to, their hands are tied. This is what we are saying. Otherwise, we have two ministers that are very caring, very concerned when it comes to issue of veterans. Even during our protest, you find out that they keep on calling every 10, 20 minutes. A minister will be putting up a call. I hope you guys are good. I hope nobody is injured. I hope there's no one lying down there as being sick. Have you been able to eat? Is there any harassment? Is that, putting up care and concern, trying to show that they do not want to see anything happen to a veteran. We cannot have it better than we are having it right now. But the truth of the matter, I repeat, lies with the ministry where the money is lying down for our better welfare.
All right. Has it always been like this through previous administrations? Has it always been this bad, or it has actually gotten better through previous administrations?
I will even tell you that it is even better this time around. Even though we are lamenting, we are complaining, but it's even still, if you want to compare with what has been happening in the past, this time is even far better than what has been happening in the past. Because I
Okay.
had to be honest with you, sometimes we protest, there's only going to be promise. We will only be promised after the protest, some senior citizens, some senior leaders of government will come out, speak with us, pacify us, beg us, promise that at a certain time the monies will be paid, and you find out that when the time comes, it's either not even being paid or we are given peanuts. But this time around, I told you we got 50% earlier in
Yeah.
December, 5th of December, and then we got 50% outstanding balance to make it 100% in January 7th. So fair
Okay.
enough. I think we need to be fair to the government. Like I said in my opening, the President and Commander-in-Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was not a military man, has never been in the military, but I think he's fair in terms of making sure that our entitlement got to us. I will tell you another one. Just 3 weeks ago, the President also magnanimously approved some certain welfare packages for the serving military personnel, even though that was done for generals. But we are using the medium to say that what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Just like it was given to the generals, it should go down the ladder to the lowest man in the armed forces, those that are in the field, fighting the war, protecting the country, sacrificing their lives, facing the sun, facing the rain, and also there in Hamatan and dust to ensure that the security is what it's supposed to be. Give
All
it to
right.
them. And of course, those of us that have sacrificed our lives, that have done what those ones that are in there now are doing, or even did what they did not do in terms of the sacrifice, fair enough, I think it should also come to us. There are so many welfare packages that we need right now. If you allow me, I can break it down to you for you.
We'll
For
get into
example,
all of that.
we
We'll
have
get into all of
we
that
have
shortly. But most importantly, we know that PTSD and a certain level of trauma comes with soldiers who have experienced, being at the war front or any form of, being at the forefront of all of this. Are there provisions for mental health support, psychological evaluation, and trauma care for veterans in Nigeria?
Believe me, there is nothing like that. We have what is called Defense Health Insurance policy that is under the National Health Insurance Policy, which is supposed to cover all ailments of a veteran who have served this country meritoriously, who have sacrificed his life to protect lives and property and the territorial integrity of Nigeria against external aggression. There is supposed to be a special medical package for us because after using your youthful age, jumping from point pole to pillar, obstacle, running in the bushes, try doing the training, and other things. Naturally, it is when you get to your older age that is when this thing will be asking you that okay, when you were strong, the bones were strong. This is what you did with me. Now the bones are weak. I am going to ask you, tell you that time, what you did that time, it is time for payback. That time for payback that is now, we are having very serious challenge when it comes to medical health care. The medical facility, that is Defense Health Insurance Scheme facility for veterans, is nothing to write home about. The illness that mostly veterans are suffering is not covered under the Defense Health Insurance policy, which is not good enough. In fact, it is not even good at all that such things are not covered. We have had calls, we've written letters to the authority to seriously look into this very matter of medicals for the veterans so that, because this is what we need mostly right now.
Yeah.
I am looking better because I'm opportune and privileged to have served and left the army still when I was, I'm still strong. But there are those that are bedridden. There are those that are on wheelchairs. There are those that have different deformities, either eye or ear or hand or leg or even both. And yet you cannot go to hospital, military hospital, and get the kind of treatment you require. Even if you don't go to military hospital, ordinarily under the Defense Health Insurance Scheme, you can go to the nearest medical facility to you that is covered under the National Health Insurance Scheme. The kind of attention you receive is very, very disheartening. And
Okay.
even when you get the attention, then you will not get drugs or medication for the kind of illness that a veteran is going to the hospital for, because it is not covered under that policy. And even the ones that are covered, when you go there, the procedure that you go through, they have to send a number, a certain number. It has to go to headquarters. It has to go to where this has to go to this. You will spend a whole day waiting for I forgot what they call it, waiting for that particular identification number or whatever for you to get treatment. Even if it is death, one would have died before the number will come. That is part of the challenges that veterans are facing. That's in terms of medicals. If
Yeah,
I want to
in terms
go
of
down to
yeah, I was going to come to healthcare, and I love the fact you expanded fully on it. But in other climes, we see that trauma care, PTSD is real, and you can't say that people who have faced the war front would be able to live a normal life knowing what they faced as a very traumatizing, incident in their life. So you're saying there's no psychological care whatsoever. Soldiers just come back from the war front and are expected to fit back into the society normally without any psychological care or evaluation?
That is just the way it is. Well, the serving soldiers, if you go to military hospitals where they are taking treatment, that is, I'm talking about the serving soldiers now.
Yeah.
There are some certain level of care, but even at that, you will find a lot of hues and cries, a lot of complaint from them if you're going to speak to them. But for the fact that they are serving soldiers, they have limitation to what they can say, because if they say more than what they are supposed to say, that is also going to be a big trouble for them, even if as they are on hospital bed. So they are restricted to what they can say. But
As a
somebody like me,
veteran.
who is a veteran and also a spokesperson for the veterans, naturally I will say everything that I needed to say concerning the problems that veterans are facing. That is why I'm a spokesperson, and of course a standing committee of Ministry of Defense that look after the welfare and the well-being of Nigerian veterans entirely. Now,
All right.
this, like I said, yes, there's a certain level of trauma, psychological and what have you, in the military hospitals. If you go to, for example, like in Yaba or in military hospital in Kaduna, there are such things for serving soldiers. But for retired soldiers who have fought the actual war, there's nothing like such a thing. And it has never been established. We've never had such opportunity. And it's really, really not encouraging to have such things. This is in terms of health. Now, talking about, there are other things. There
Yeah,
is
hold that
transportation,
thought.
there is education,
Yeah,
there
hold
are
that
skills
thought.
acquisition.
Hold that thought. We're going to get to that. On education and skill acquisition, which I would put under reintegration back into the society, and also jobs. I'd want you to share your experience briefly with us, how it was you found a way to reintegrate back into society, and if possible, share some tips with veterans on how to find a way to reintegrate themselves back into society, and also what the government can do to assist veterans in terms of jobs, education for their family and their children, quality of life, and reintegration back into the society after service.
Like, once you left the military, you are coming in to get into the civilians whom you feel, you think in different way from them because of the training, the discipline, and then, like you said, the trauma that one has faced in different military engagement, local and international, facing war, seeing death or even killing, and then seeing your colleague being killed by your side, and then the kind of things like that. So once a soldier is leaving the armed forces and is trying to reintegrate himself back into the civil life, he finds it very, very difficult, because the civilians tend not to even understand you. You also tend not to understand them. You find everything that they do as if it is not right, it is wrong, because you feel they are not disciplined, they are not organized, and then you feel you are very disciplined, you are very organized, and then you are going into them. So everything they do, you find wrong, and everything you do, they see it as wrong. So at the end of the day, they call a soldier a madman. It's a retired soldier. In Hausa, they call it Open soldier. So once you are addressed as Open soldier or a retired soldier, you are seen as you are a crazy person or you are a mad person. So for you to reintegrate yourself back into the community and then get the acceptability of the community, and also for you to accept them as members of the community, it takes time, and also there is a process in doing that. Until before you get that, believe me, you begin to quarrel, you fight, you disagree with the civilian community, and they also disagree with you. You find out there is a lot of hostilities and things like that. They are looking at you as a madman. You are looking at them as crazy people who do not know what the right thing to do. Government needed to intervene in terms of very serious training. There's what, for example, for the non-commissioned soldiers, you go to Oshodi where you are trained on skills, but then it is only the skills. It is when you come back, they will say that you use your gratuity to actualize whatever skills that you learn or you are being taught of at the Oshodi. That's the 6 months training that you do there. But that is wrong. Your gratuity is supposed to be something that you're supposed to use in housing and then other needs for your family. The training and the skills that you learn at Oshodi is supposed to be the tools are supposed to be given by the government. And
it seems we lost comrade there, and it's been quite a very eye-opening
But that is not the case.
That is not the case. So it's very pathetic situation. That is number one. Number two, that skills is only for those that attend Oshodi. There are those that do not attend the Oshodi. For example, you have those soldiers that are on voluntary discharge, or those soldiers that are medically boarded. They do not have such opportunity of going for that training for them to be able to learn those skills. That, like I said again, is for the living ones. Now, for the families of the deceased soldiers, widows, and orphans, those ones do not have anything to take back home. As their breadwinner died, they are left with their own fate. Yes, they get the entitlement sometimes. There are still those whose entitlement has not been paid, even though the government has provided. And I may not blame the military pension board, because the man is up and doing. Honestly, he is very hardworking. Once the thing gets to him, he pays outrightly. In most cases, it's from the units where the soldiers served and died before they send the document to army headquarters, for army headquarters to prepare those documents and send them to either the defense headquarters and the ministry, then down to military pension board. That is where the process takes long. But once it gets to military pension board, honestly, the man that is there pays outrightly without delay. But after that, they are left to themselves, and whatever little thing that got to them, there's no care, no attention anymore. Ordinarily, if a soldier died in the battlefield, there should be a replacement life within the family. If he has grown up children, among them there's an interested one that wants to join the armed forces and he is qualified, he should the family should be given the opportunity of replacement, so that he can continue to care and cater for the families that their breadwinner left behind. Also, where that did not happen, the children are supposed to be, under normal circumstances, the armed forces or Nigerian government is supposed to cater for 4 members of the family, that is 4 children, are supposed to be given scholarship from primary to university level. That is not done, even though I saw that the services, Air Force, Navy, and Army now are trying, they are coming up with such policies, but not enough. It's not going around the way it's supposed to go around. It's not being like 4 members of the family. In most cases, you find out that it's one, and also it's not all the widows or the children of the deceased soldiers that are having such opportunity right now. But fair enough, at least they are beginning to do it now, but it's not satisfactorily being done. We hope they will improve greatly on it. Now, on the widows, they are supposed to be provided with skills. When they have those skills, they are also supposed to be provided with tools and take-off grants that they will use in catering for the members of the family whom breadwinner lost his life in protection of lives and property of Nigerians, serving meritoriously the Nigerian nation, and paid the supreme sacrifice in that process. They are supposed to be properly taken care of year in, year out. by providing those the needful. Housing is another challenge for retiring soldiers. In other countries, you find out that as a soldier is retiring, there is a housing opportunity for him. While in service, there is a post-housing schemes. The armed forces would have the army post-housing scheme, but it's not sufficient. It's not enough. Even the ones that are in the service are not getting those houses. Not to talk of those of us that have served and left. That is also not good enough.
All right.
They are supposed to improve on that very one.
If we keep
Apart
mentioning, we're probably I wish we had loads of time to go into all the details, but we hope, and like you said,
you will please permit me to say these three very important things very, very quickly.
okay,
One
please, because
is
we've
the
actually
issue
run
of
out of
soldiers
time.
who have served in the armed forces, soldiers that have served during the Civil War. Today they are not on the payroll of the military pension board, but those that serve against Nigeria, those that serve under Biafran Army, are in the military pension board payroll. They are receiving their pension, but those that serve under the military, under the armed forces of Nigeria, for the government of Nigeria, about 2,000 of them are not in the military pension board payroll. We are asking the government, Dr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to please consider including these people in the payroll. There are those soldiers that were medically boarded, retired on medical ground, that their pension is being shortchanged. We are saying restore that pension and pay them arrears. We have what is called the security
Thank you
department
so
allowance.
much.
It is an allowance that is paid to soldiers
Thank
after
you so much.
retiring, that you don't sell out your skills. We are saying please pay those ones. We are asking the government to do the Veterans Federation of Nigeria for us. We are saying that you should provide housing, provide transportation, take care of the medicals of soldiers, provide skills for the widows, and ensure that all that we need is done for us for the service
we
for
have
this
actually
country.
run out of time and we have to go. I wish we had all day to take your opinion and get more on this. It's something that would never run out. We have to keep talking about it every day, so the government would hear the cries and do right by people who have fought to protect the borders of the nation. They deserve this and more. They deserve better, and we hope that the government would do right by them, not just laying wreaths and blowing trumpets and honoring them on that day. It should go beyond that. Nigerians are looking forward to that. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. It was quite a very, very impactful and eye-opening conversation we had this morning. We were joined by the Deputy Veteran Commander Awwal Abdullahhi-Aliyu, spokesperson, Ministry of Defense, Ministerial Standing Committee on Military Veterans Welfare, all the way from Kaduna. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. It was good to have you with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, having said that, we've come to the end of this segment.